for that pie in the sky, and we're always last when the grand is set out for the worker is working when the fat cat's about, and when the sky.
We are back. And I really wanted to, I like the tech news. I want to touch on this one. Sperm-like nano propeller is smallest swimmer ever. Remote-controlled, let me repeat that, remote-controlled nano devices that look like sperm but mimic the corkscrew motion of flagella may one day deliver drugs to where they are needed in the body. See, this nanotechnology, these small machines, they are the equivalent of viruses. They're that small. Do you understand? We're at that molecular level where machines are really life forms at this point. Okay, that's why we have glowing monkeys who are, producing glowing babies. We have, glowing dogs. We have all sorts of other chimeras. We have HIV in corn, Monsanto style. And now we have sperm-like nanopropellers that are remote controlled. We have edible RFID tags. Reported on that last week. We are truly living in a mind-blowing era. And, I would say 99.999999% of the population, including myself, cannot really grasp or understand what these implications are or how this thing works at all. At all. Flagella are the structures some bacteria use to swim through water. Because water is syrupy at small scales, ordinary swimming motions don't work well. Picture trying to swim in a pool of asphalt on a hot summer's day, says Peter Fisher of the Roland Institute at Harvard University. Instead, flagella use a corkscrew motion to drive bacteria through the water. The motion of flagella inspired Fisher and his colleague Ambarish Ghosh to create their nano propellers made of glass. Each one has a spherical head 200 to 300 nanometers across and a corkscrew-shaped tail 1 to 2 micrometers long. Less than 1/10 of the length of a human sperm. You think you could get smaller than an actual one shot of a sperm? That's tiny, folks. That's microscopic level. And they are 1/10 of the size. Less than 1/10. Mind-blowing. I wanted to get into this story right here. Israel stages biggest ever war drill. We talked about NLE-09 coming up this summer. It's getting ever closer. It's the end of July into August. And this one here is just huge, apparently. The 5-day drill, nicknamed Turning Point 3, comes amid the nation's rising tensions with Iran. It will be conducted in public facilities, including schools, military bases, and government offices. Students, soldiers, and other civilians will practice how to gather at protected places during an emergency. See, they're training you for the roundups. They're training you for the camps. And yes, this is overseas, but obviously Israel, a huge ally, and on top of that, really an intricate part of this international intelligence organization that carries black ops throughout the world. Everyone is expected to go to a protected place at the sound of the sirens, the Defense Force said, adding the more instructions will be broadcast on a public channel. That's right, this is for the population. It is of great importance that every civilian, institute, and workplace will seriously practice in order to improve our preparedness and national resilience, Major General Yair Golan of the Home Front Command said in his news statement. The move comes amid tension between, of course, Israel and Tehran. So let's train the population to go to the slave camps during war. Let's train them to be rounded up like the chattel that we talk about in all of our policy papers. It's the InfoWarrior, back after this. All right, we are back. We're going to jet through some phone calls, do a little bit of a news blitz on the other side. But it's important that we note this drill because we're going to see drills like this in our country. Is it going to be everybody being rounded up? No, it's going to be different regions. That's why FEMA Region 6 is so heavily involved in this NLE-09. It's kind of scary. I'm in FEMA Region 6. Texas is a part of that. Maybe that's the time to take a little trip ski and hutch out to New York. All right, let's go to Bill in Arkansas. Bill, you're on the line.
Actually,
yes,
that's Bill in Alaska there, Jason.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. That's me.
Not a problem. I'm hiding my name because I work on the local Air Force base up here in Anchorage.
Okay.
And I'm on the way home, man, sitting on the runway was a Doomsday plane.
Oh, an E-4B. Wait, let's talk about it because a lot of people aren't going to know what that means. Now, Doomsday planes are heavily featured in Fabled Enemies. If you didn't know, there was a Doomsday plane on the scene of the Pentagon as it got struck, and yet another white mystery plane in New York City. And then drills confirmed that there were, in fact, 5 E-4Bs airborne on 9/11 during these mass terror exercises and Armageddon exercises, you name it. They were running a lot of them. A lot of them are still classified to this day. For instance, Operation Jackal Cave just came to light in the last 2, 3, 4 months, something like that, but it's heavily blacked out. Anyway, these Doomsday planes have a little bubble at the top that you can kind of see, and they're mobile command centers for essentially the upper echelons of the military-industrial complex, and some would say the shadow government, correct?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I'm in the Air Force, and I didn't realize what that plane was until I watched Fabled Enemies. And you do a great job of pointing it out, and it's hard to deny that. It's more than likely what it is in Fabled Enemies there. But on my way home today, we're running a inspection this week, and on my way home, sure as heck, there was one sitting there, and I pulled over and I just stared at it for a minute because at one point in time, my heart kind of dropped. Like, oh man, what does this mean? But I figured I'd come home because I run your voice out here up here in Anchorage, and I was listening on the way home. Oh yeah, I was listening to you on the way home, and I was just like, wow. But I wanted to call you and let you know about it, and I didn't know.
So what do you think's going on? Have you talked to anybody else? Oh, hold on, just before we go, let's get a handle on this situation. You think it's probably maybe a drill or something like that, some kind of an exercise up there? I mean, you are in the Air Force. You obviously run exercises all the time. You don't see E-4Bs all over the place. It's not like a very popular military aircraft. I think there's less than a dozen in the arsenal of the United States. Did anybody mention this to you? You just kind of saw it? No one knows anything yet?
No, it was just nobody mentioned anything. In fact, we were supposed to run the beginning of our inspection, operational readiness inspection this morning, and it didn't happen for some reason. And then on my way home, like I said, I seen that plane. Now, it could be one of two things. Maybe something weird's happening, and we got this plane landing here for some dumb reason, or maybe that's what the inspectors flew in on, and they got here late. I don't know.
Well, you know what? If it's there tomorrow, I definitely want to update tomorrow night. But to me, these E-4Bs being operational command centers seem like the perfect place to, coordinate drones from, coordinate satellite photos, relay them to other government agencies, other places such as Cheyenne Mountain that was heavy in play during 9/11. Is that essentially what you get the vibe from these planes? I mean, these planes are not only mobile command centers, but they're operational centers, like I said, for these people in military. So you've got several different people inside the plane doing several different jobs. It's not just a one-trick pony. I mean, there are people that are literally on the line with the upper echelons of military, and then there are the others that are really controlling things, whether that be drones, whether that be satellite photos. What else is it capable of as far as you know?
Well, as far as it's like you said, it's called a Doomsday plane for a reason. In case the crap hits the fan, they can essentially run the country from the air. I mean, what should have happened on 9/11 was you shouldn't have been watching the president get informed of what was going on with the second plane if we were really under attack. He should have been whisked away into God knows where.
I couldn't agree more. Exactly. And you know what? That's a great point. We don't make that point enough, and I thank you very much for the call, Bill. If, in fact, the president and his administration had no idea about these attacks, by the time the second plane comes in and the Secret Service agent, Andy Card, comes in and talks to him, they should have immediately ushered him out of there. There were other hijacked planes in the air. Oh, people say, there were just 2 more at that point. No, they had 9+ hijackings that day, according to their own documents. Team 8, the people that actually did the reconnaissance for the 9/11 Commission, reported that. Go check it out. Some of those are in Fabled Enemies. It's the InfoWarrior. We'll be back after this.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?